Alright guys, let's do one more list since I've been in a list mood the last day or so. This is going to be the top 10 horror remakes from 2000 onward. So the last 23 years. I didn't want to do remakes of all time just because a few reasons, but one, that my favorite movie, The Thing, is going to be at number one again. So it's like I don't want to keep doing lists that The Thing is at number one. So let's talk some just honorable mentions here, and obviously these are just my favorite, what I consider the best horror remakes from the 2000s onward. But we have Black Christmas 2006, which is not that bad of a remake. Like, it really isn't. There's some good acting in it, not great, but decent. And we get a little more backstory on Billy, which you didn't really need in the original, but it's still a decent remake. 2019's Black Christmas, that's like one of the worst movies that I've seen in 20 years. So bad. But we had House of Wax come out in 2005, which is a remake of the 1953 movie. Again, it's not great. That's why these are honorable mentions. But it's good. You get to see Paris Hilton like speared through the head with a pipe. So what more do you want? Let's have Sorority Row from 2009, a remake of The House on Sorority Row from the 80s. I like this one. Like, it's, again, not great, but I like this one a decent amount more than the last two that I mentioned. Like, for sure. And the girl who plays Chugs in this movie, so sexy. Something about her. Like, it's not just her looks, it's her personality. She just has, like, this slutty, I don't give a shit, like, personality. And I don't know, it works for me in that movie, but good remake. My Bloody Valentine is a great remake from '09. That one almost made the list, but I like how they changed up the story a bit from the original. And I was supposed to do videos on this and the original on Valentine's Day, but I was sick, so didn't happen. So there's always another Valentine's Day, though. So, Last House on the Left from 2009. Wes Craven's original. I like both. Like, I can't say which one I like better than the other. Like, I do like the original very much. I do like the remake. So there's aspects of both of them. Same with Silent Night from 2012. Silent Night, Deadly Night, loose adaptation, I would say, but Killer Santa Claus going around, you can't really mess that up. So it was a decent remake, pretty brutal with some of the kills. It chapter 1 and 2, 2017 and 2018, 2019. The only reason I didn't, well, these aren't on the list. Number 1, chapter 1 might have made the list, but I don't really consider these remakes. I mean, yeah, we had the miniseries on TV in 1990. This is more just a newer adaptation of the book. So, like, I don't look at this as a remake of the miniseries. So, I don't even know if I would call them remakes. But they're worth mentioning, because it is my favorite Stephen King story and book by a decent margin. The Town That Dreaded Sundown from 2014. The original I don't care for much. Like, I don't love this remake in any way, shape, or form, but it's better than the original for me. So, it has some good things in it. Let Me In. I know a lot of people who like this remake more than the original, Let the Right One In. I don't know why. Like, Let the Right One In is phenomenal, and it's probably in my top 5 vampire films of all time. It's not a bad remake, Let Me In, like, not at all. I would just always prefer to watch the original. So, not a bad remake, just not something I'd throw on really often. And last honorable mention is The Uninvited, which is a great and underrated movie. That was a remake of the 2003 Korean horror film A Tale of Two Sisters, which is a great movie too. But The Uninvited is a good remake of that. It was supposed to be titled the same thing, Tale of Two Sisters, and I forget why, but they ended up changing the title to The Uninvited. But really good movie, really fun movie, and let's get into the actual list here. So, number 10 on my favorite remakes of the 2000s onward is I Spit on Your Grave from 2010. Now, these are controversial movies, obviously, with the original, then this remake, and the sequels after this remake. I think there was 2, and then there was this long-ass, terrible sequel to the original. Now, I always prefer the original a little bit to this remake, but I think it's an excellent remake. Like, really, really good. And I forget her name who plays Jennifer Hills in this, but excellent performance. And just the kills, the revenge kills here are brutal. Like, really, really cool, really, really well done, and these people still deserve so much more than what they get in the end. But it's a great remake, for sure. So I Spit on Your Grave, 2010. I didn't say this in my top 10 of the 80s and 90s, but I'm going to put in the description which any of these that I've covered in the past and did videos on, spoiler discussions, I'm going to put a link to them in the description. So I'll just put honorable mentions and 10, 9, 8, 7. I should have done a decent amount of the 80s and 90s list, for sure. This one, I know I've done some, so whatever ones I have, I'll link if you want to hear them, like full, long, deep dive thoughts on them. But number 9, The Hills Have Eyes from 2006. Wes Craven's original. I think this is better than the original. I think this remake is one of the rare ones that is better than the original for me. And I mean, if that's blasphemous, here's something even more blasphemous. Like, Wes Craven, I never got huge into him as a director. Like, I love Nightmare on Elm Street. You guys know how I feel about Scream, and the Swamp Thing, and the Last House on the Left, and he's had a lot of great movies, don't get me wrong, but just not a director that I'm huge on for some reason. So that's one thing, I guess, to bring up right here and there. But I like The Hills Have Eyes remake much better than the original. Like, it was able to be more brutal. It was, I don't know, it just worked for me. It works for me so much better than the original. So, Hills Have Eyes, 2006 at number 9. Number 8, Zack Snyder's Day of the Day. That's my favorite one. That's why I'm saying it. Dawn of the Dead from 2004. Another great remake here. I like how he still kept the setting in the mall and didn't do a completely different remake like Day of the Dead and then Day of the Dead 2, Contagion, and those are terrible, those sequels to Day of the Dead. But I know people who preferred the remake of Dawn of the Dead over the original, and I can see that. Like, I really can. And Mike, I know you're one of them. My boy Mike at the Real Fifth Beatle, he likes the Dawn remake more than the original. So I know a lot of people who do. So, and for good reason. Like, it is a great remake. It is a great zombie flick. So, awesome movie. I keep wanting to say Day, see, because that's my favorite zombie movie, traditional zombie movie. I got a number 1 zombie film of all time. It's still a zombie film, but not your traditional Romero-esque zombies. But Dawn of the Dead, 04, number 8. Then we have, I didn't know whether to consider this a horror movie, but there's horrific stuff going on for sure, and it's pretty much a shot-for-shot remake in Funny Games from 2007. Tim Roth, Naomi Watts, like, great home invasion movie. Like I said, it's a shot-for-shot remake from, I want to say German original, but I could be completely wrong on that. But the original is good. I prefer the remake. Maybe it's just Tim Roth and Naomi Watts, but I've always preferred the remake to Funny Games. The original is still good. I don't think I've watched it more than twice, because every other time that I want to watch Funny Games or I see it on streaming or something, it's it's the remake, and I prefer that one. But great movie if you haven't seen Funny Games. Number 6, Piranha from 2010, Piranha 3D. This is how you do a fucking remake, man. Like I said this in my video for it. This is what they should be doing. If they really need to make remakes so bad and legacy sequels and all this bullshit, don't remake classics and ruin them. Like for the majority, or on some movies, remakes, or ones that are really mixed or between viewers, go back, take movies that weren't executed that well, that weren't that great of movies, but had good premises or interesting concepts and stuff like that, and for some reason, either due to budget or just a lack of experience or anything like that, turned out being a not good to shit movie. Take those, remake them, and make them good movies. That's what they should be doing with remakes. Not taking classics and just repeating it over and over again. Take a movie like Joe Dante's Piranha, which is not that good of a movie. I really don't care for Joe Dante's Piranha, original one. I know there was a remake in 1990 or early 90s. I've never seen it. I really don't care to, because what Alexander Aja did with Piranha 3D, that's how you do a remake. Like, just, they know that this concept of killer piranha and stuff on Spring Break is balls to the wall, just insanity, and that's where they take it. And this is the type of movie that CGI go nuts. Like, I'm all for practical effects, as some of you know. Almost in every situation. If you can use practical, go practical in horror movies. But this is the type of movie that you can put all the CGI in the world, and it's fine. Because it's just so ridiculous and over the top of a movie that you need it. And this is why I say take older movies and remake them. I'm not saying you can remake them with CGI. This is just this example here in this movie. But in Dante's original, you weren't seeing any of the piranha, like, you know, around in the water and biting people was all implied. Like, this is the remake that movie needed. Like, you get to see piranha everywhere. You get to see people being eaten alive and just gruesome deaths and injuries. And awesome. I love this remake so much. So, number 6, Piranha 3D. Number 5, The Ring from 2002. It's my favorite Japanese horror remake. Like, I don't know. Like, I've always been pretty equal with Ringu and The Ring. Like, I don't like one better than the other. I don't like one worse than the other. I think they're both excellent. And I think it's the best example of a Japanese horror film being remade for Americans. Absolutely awesome movie. Who doesn't love The Ring? Number 4, Suspiria from 2018. I love this remake. Absolutely love it. I'm a huge Argento fan, as some of you know. Suspiria, I think, is a masterpiece, the original film. This movie is so different in so many different ways, besides the basic plot. Just completely different. Like, especially Suspiria, the first thing you think of is Argento's amazing lighting and colored lighting and stuff. This has none of it. It's very gray color palette and stuff. It's very long too. So like 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 40 minutes, something like that. But the pacing's fine for me. Pacing works. The acting's great. One of the scenes, I don't want to give it away for people who haven't seen it, but one of the dancing scenes with one of the girls is fucking brutal and gnarly, man. And Dakota Johnson does a great job in this movie. So everything about this remake I absolutely loved. Is it different? Like I said, absolutely. So if you're a fan of Suspiria, Argento's, there is a chance that you won't care for this. There is. There's a big chance you will, and will really like this remake. But there are chances you won't, because it is very different stylistically. But yeah, Suspiria 2018, awesome. Number 3, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. This is, in my opinion, the best remake out of all the slasher franchises. Like, it's not even close. That's why you don't see Friday the 13th, Child's Play, Robert Englund, Nightmare on Elm Street, any of those. You ain't seen those remakes on this list. Or even honorable mentions. I don't like any of them. This one right here. Out of Friday, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play, Texas Chainsaw 3. It is such a good remake. I don't prefer it to the original. I think they're two very different films. But I'll say this. I mean, people who know that Texas Chainsaw 2 is my favorite in the series. The first one is an absolute classic. Absolute excellent film. I find myself watching this one more often than the original. So I don't know what that says. Again, I'm not saying it's better or that I favor it or anything. I just find myself watching it more often than the original. So, amazing remake. And Jessica Biel, she is so goddamn distracting in this movie with her outfit, with the white tight shirt with the knot tied and the tight ass jeans, and they don't shy away from showing so much of it, and it is so distracting in this movie, but awesome. We also have Erica Learson in here as Pepper, who I'll always love from Blair Witch 2, which is another favorite of mine. That it's such a hated movie that I absolutely adore, but everything about this movie, fantastic. That applies for pretty much this whole top 5 here, especially the 2 and 1. So number 2, Evil Dead 2013. Perfect. Like, perfect remake for Evil Dead. Like, this is a franchise that I've said many times has never disappointed me. It has a perfect track record with me from the first 3, all excellent, to the TV show, excellent, to this remake, excellent. Just gore galore. Awesome effects in this movie. So much blood. Like, just exactly what an Evil Dead remake should be. And it hits every mark for me. So, Evil Dead 2013, what a phenomenal remake. And number 1, not just a horror remake. This, I think, is one of the greatest remakes of all time. And it's Maniac from 2012. Now, a lot of people probably haven't even seen this movie, because a lot of people who, unless you're a huge slasher fan, probably haven't seen the original William Lustig's Maniac from 1980. But what a classic that is. But this remake, that again, like who directed Piranha, and he directed the Hills Have Eyes remake too. Alexander Aja, also High Tension, the French film, which is a great film too, despite its fucking stupid twist when you really think about it. But he appeared 3 times on this list. Like, I love Alexander Aja, and I'm pretty sure that's how you say his name. Unless I've never known how to say this guy's name. Unless it's Aya or Aja. Aja sounds right. So who cares? This doesn't matter. But he produced this, and it was directed by Frank Calhoun. Pretty sure it's Frank Calhoun. And I can't say which one's better. This is another one I can't say which I like one better. I think they're both right here, right equal with each other. They're very different feeling. They feel so different stylistically. The original was in New York in just the 80s, late 70s, dirty, grimy New York City before they, cleaned up the whole city, basically. So I love that grimy feel to Maniac, William Lustig's. And just the whole character of Frank. And just everything about the original Maniac, I adore. Tom Savini's effects work, which, speaking of effects work, Maniac 2012 with Elijah Wood, who is a huge horror fan, by the way, if anyone didn't know that. Elijah Wood is a huge horror fan. And, he could have done anything after the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And he ended up starring in Maniac, a remake of William Lustig's classic. So he loves his horror. He definitely does. And stylistically, like I said, very, very different, because takes place in LA versus New York for the original. So you got just beautiful, just outdoor exterior shots, like driving shots, and just the lights of Los Angeles and everything. Gorgeous looking film. The score is amazing in this movie, like absolutely amazing. The effects work in this movie, the kills, I don't know how they did it. Some of them, like, I honestly, like, don't know how they pulled off some of the practical effects in this movie. They look so good. They look so realistic. Like, all of the kills in this movie are absolutely fantastic. And the whole character of Frank, portrayed by Elijah Wood, is very different for me also compared to Frank from the original. But I love both of their portrayals. So it's very, very even, the original and the remake here. But for me, this remake is an absolute fucking work of art. Like a work of art. The whole movie, 99% of it is shot in point of view, in POV of Elijah Wood's character, of Frank. So the whole movie is being seen through his eyes. So it kind of makes you complicit and there for everything that he's doing in the movie. And I think that's brilliant. Like, I'm not sure if it's been done before, probably has a few times, but for a film, a horror film like this, to be filmed almost entirely in POV, you don't see that often at all. And it works so well here. And there's a few key moments where it comes out of the first person and you see Elijah Wood's characters, like back or body and stuff. And we have one of the greatest homages in a remake to the original ever in a movie. When they have, I don't want to spoil it, but they have a nice homage to the VHS cover of Maniac in a car door reflection. Amazing. Just everything about this movie is absolute perfection to me. Like, it is a perfect remake. And for me, it is the best horror remake from the 2000s to today. So those are my top 10 remakes of the 2000s to today. Let's just recap real quick with the list. Number 10, I Spit on Your Grave from 2010. Number 9, The Hills Have Eyes, I keep wanting to say 20 because you could say 2010, 2013, 2014, 2018, but then 2000 you can't say 2006. Oh, it's screwing me up. But The Hills Have Eyes. Number 8, Dawn of the Dead. Number 7, Funny Games. Number 6, Piranha 3D. Number 5, The Ring. Number 4, Suspiria. 3, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. Evil Dead at number 2, and number 1, Frank Calhoun's Maniac with Elijah Wood. If you guys haven't seen the remake of Maniac, I'm pretty sure it's on Tubi again. I feel like I just passed it, like browsing, like a few days ago. So it should be on Tubi, unless I'm wrong, but pretty sure it is. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. Like, I beg you. Like, it's such a great remake. And if you haven't seen the original Maniac for some reason, that's on Tubi 100%. Have a double feature. Watch both of them. But I'm having fun doing these lists. If anyone has ideas or wants to hear any specific lists, leave it in the comments. Let me know. Maybe I'll consider it and work it out, because it's cool racking my brain to think of all these titles and go through all these movies in my head and then rank them, because I've never really been big on lists, but this has been enjoyable for sure. So yeah, I'll have some videos up later. I know pretty sure The Beast Within from 1982 and Final Destination 4 won the poll that I put up yesterday. So most likely those are the two, unless something changed since I last checked. But those are the two I'm going to be doing later tonight. Just wanted to get this nice little midday video out for you guys. And wherever you're from, hoping you're having a good morning, afternoon, or night. And I will talk to you guys soon. Take care, guys.